fight commentary breakdowns here. This match is just amazing. I wanted to redo the commentary / clearer commentary because look at those lights up there. I was sitting right behind where the guy in red, Givenchy, right there in the bottom right, was sitting. And those lights were in my eyes, especially the first fight of the night. They affected me. Obviously, I got used to them by this match, but still, it would have been better without those lights in my eyes. That's Paul Hernandez. We interviewed him, and you saw him in the face-off. Paul Hernandez has a hybrid. I'm going to call it a Jeet Kune Do style because he's trained Muay Thai, he's trained Taekwondo, he's trained Kung Fu, he's trained Jeet Kune Do. So it's Jeet Kune Do, right? He's taking what works and applying it. And in this match, he's also testing some of his thoughts, his theories. Hurricane X promotion, of course. That host is Robert Johnston. Very professional, awesome guy. Even my mom was like, dude, Robert was awesome. This guy right here, red corner, Rich Eberhardt. Rich Eberhardt fighting out of West Palm Beach. Rich is a pure Muay Thai guy, Muay Thai specialist. So, Rich also, if you notice, you'll see when they stand next to each other, Rich way taller. So, it's one of those long Muay Thai type guys versus a shorter Jeet Kune Do hybrid guy, right? What's also really cool is this is full Muay Thai rules. You can elbow to the face, man. So you might see some Muay Khao, Muay Sa action. By the way, shoutout Xavier Santana, who just sat there. He was doing the commentary with me in the initial live stream. Look at that. Paul with same side combo right there. Rich with a push kick. Look at that. So a little bit of potential low blow, but look at that. Paul with his aggression. Paul explained many times, right? He's the shorter fighter. He's got to find entries. But Rich, being the taller fighter, he can also just be a counter striker, right? Knowing that Paul's definitely going to be the one to come in. So, but Rich is not choosing just to counter strike, right? He's picking times to actually be aggressive. So I think this is one of the things that really impressed me about Rich's game plan. You know, I've had like, this was kind of a little bit of a sweep right there. I've had a few tall opponents, like sparring opponents back in the day, where they would never attack. They would just always counter-strike, bait me to attack. So sometimes it felt a little pointless to me because in real life, I would just not fight them. So Rich is not like that. Rich is finding entries to attack too. So that's what impressed me about Rich. Paul using jabs as entry. Paul told me that, he really wanted to show his hybrid style. So this is why I had to feature this again, because look at the sidekick. Paul was not just on a mission to help small guys feel better, more confident, but also to prove his style. By the way, that second time was not a sweep. Paul fell. So, but the first time was, that was a great angle. Did you see that? That was a great angle with the hook right there. So, you could argue Paul is doing a little more, but I think Rich is doing just as much. This is a source of debate. I'm not saying I have the right answer. Great push kick. Rich is finding entries to attack, but he's also counter-striking, right? Rich is playing the perfect blend between attacking and counter-striking. Look at that kick. You see what I'm talking about? During this match, a few times there were claims of accidental or purposeful low blow, and it happens, again, because it's a tall guy versus a short guy, right? You spar tall people, usually at least one of their teeps is going to hit you down there. It's just... Tall people are not used to sparring short people. Short people are not used to sparring tall people, right? It happens. So that was the end of the first round. So there's Xavier, and if you saw right there, Nashan's coming. So I highly recommend you guys watch the original live stream because we got Nashan. Nashan fought in a card before. Nashan's going to help me with the second round commentary. Hurricane X Promotions held in Pompano Beach, Florida, South Florida. This is just the first event, man. We're going to have a lot more. And I hope by featuring this, we're going to inspire a lot more people of all types. Jeet Kune Do people, Kung Fu people, Wing Chun people, Taekwondo people, Karates, I said. We're going to inspire everyone to step in to take on people like Rich, who's a pure Muay Thai people. Because obviously, we know Muay Thai is probably one of the most formidable sports, right? But we know some of the other arts aren't slacking either. Okay. The second round, man. And first round was a little close, right? I would have given the edge to Rich, but again, it could have gone either way. Now, Paul, again, coming in, definitely winning the beginning of this round for sure. Again, Paul with his great angles. The one thing that we noticed, I think, Nashan and I noticed this when we were commentating, is that Paul does unfortunately drop his hands when he's coming in, right? And there are reasons for it. It could make his kicks more powerful, more quick, but it doesn't change the fact that his face is open when he's coming in. And there's something, knowing Paul's a Jeet Kune Do guy, you take what works, and then what doesn't work, you discard, right? There's got to be a way to come in and protect your face a little better. That's just a little constructive criticism for Paul. I mean, his style is so exciting. That's why I'm watching this for the third time. First time live, second time last night, and third time here. Look at that. Look at that side kick, man. And I'm still excited. Nice calf kick, by the way, by Rich. And I believe when Nashon and I were watching this, since we were sitting on the other side, we saw Paul grimace a little when he got calf kicked. So I think that calf kick actually really hurt Paul, aka Blue Corner. So look at that. You see, like, Rich is not just counter-striking. He's actually, like, sometimes stalking for it. That was a great hook by Rich. Like, Rich got some crisp combos, man. Like, Paul has beautiful, unorthodox combos, but Rich has, like, just the crisp combos. And by the way, there's elbows, too, right? If you notice, I believe the second round, you see, is when the elbows really start landing. And Paul later talked about how those elbows really hurt. Paul with a cool little hook kick. So, yeah, I will, when they do the post-fight interviews, I'll just put the audio on. But as of now, it's just my commentary. And you guys let me know how many of these do you want in an event? As in, like, if you went to a fight like this, we had 7 fights in this card, right? Do you think 9 fights you would be down? Would you be down for 20 fights? Do you only want 3 fights? No, guys, 3 fights is too little, right? But, like, do you think 7's good? Do you think 9 fights good? Do you think 10 fights good? Ring girl right there, Fatima, she was also the technical live stream director. So everyone here was wearing multiple hats. Shout out Alex. Alex was the main camera person for the live stream. So he was the one handling most of these. The guy who was switching the cameras was recruited, one of Xavier Santana's friends. Because, first show, right, we had to be lean. But hopefully you guys see the types of awesome content that we got. The types of awesome fighters. The style versus style. There, right there, sitting down, is James Gatson, who won his fight representing Sanda. So Gatson's commentating with me live in the 3rd round. Look at the show of respect. And you'll see in the post-fight interview the show of respect too. So this round, I'm just going to spoil it a little. Paul does amazing. Because Paul, I think, realizes that there's a potential that he lost 2 rounds. So look at this. Look at that. Even, do you see that? That last punch right there, a little bit of a hook. Rich felt that, man. So look at Rich keeping his high guard. But again, elbows change the game up, man. Especially since the natural range of Rich's elbow is like at Paul's face, man. You see, like, he doesn't have to reach up to elbow, right? That was a spinning elbow. So it's so unfair to fight some guy this big. But hey, Paul freaking, Paul's a warrior, man. So I would love to hear Paul leave a comment or maybe even an interview. Tell us, how did you prepare for a taller opponent that could throw elbows? Because again, when he's protecting his face and he throws a horizontal elbow, that horizontal elbow is directly at your face effortlessly. Those elbow pads, by the way, and I said this in the live stream too, nice push kick. Elbow pads do not reduce the concussive force. They only prevent cuts, right? You want your face to stay a little beautiful after the fight, right? That's why. But like, you're still feeling it in your brain and your skull. So that's, if you've never been elbowed before, no, I've only been elbowed a few times, but if you've never been elbowed before, that's what the elbow pads are for. Same with knee pads, right? When people fight with knee pads, it's the same. It's not like the knee pads reduce the concussive force by much. Maybe a little, but not much. So it looks like Paul's recovering a little from a low blow. Paul representing Khao, Muay Thai, and Primal Striking. Richard without a gym affiliation. You can watch the interviews I did with Paul on Fight Commentary Chats. Rich, too, I did an interview with him. So Paul's having a great time entering in this round. Like, he's doing a good job. It's, again, you see how he drops his face and he drops his hands and he paid for it by getting attacked. So Paul's face is a little red from some of those elbows and hooks and stuff. Ooh, Rich with a jump kick entry. Wow. Look at that. See? Rich is always timing great punches upon the exit. If he doesn't get Paul upon the entry, he's getting Paul during the exit. So Paul trying some spin stuff. Again, Paul's done Taekwondo. Great punch to the body, man. Oof, that punch hit him. So that was a beautiful, in capoeira we would call it a vingativa. But, there's a lot of other words for that. You have that in judo, and even jiu-jitsu guys do that. And I'm sure Sanda guys train that too. Clinch action going on. So Rich kind of does a little bit of a sweep. So as you can tell, I told Paul this, so I'll say this again. If this were 5 rounds, man, I think Paul would have 100% won this. Paul's gas tank was amazing, right? I mean, Rich is a taller dude, man. Taller dude playing the defense game. I think definitely we want a rematch from these two. But also, I want to see Paul take on others. Rich, let me know in the comments, too, about 5 rounds. You could have gone 5 rounds, maybe. But it felt like Paul could have gone 5 rounds easy. And he was, every round, getting better and better. So, I think if this were 5 rounds, Paul would have definitely taken it. By the way, I don't know if you saw those firework displays in the back. Those firework displays were from Joey Atwell, who not only fought in this card, but also his company, Alpha Firework Displays, did the fireworks. So, shout out Joey. And so I will let you guys hear the actual announcing and the post-fight and all that. But in the meantime, by the way, that's Xavier Santana. We just have to mention, there are people who thought that Paul dominated the whole round, right? Sorry, the whole match, not the whole round, the whole match. Now, I disagree with that. I'm not going to say it wasn't close, but I think, and again, guys, I am speaking from not thinking like a Muay Thai judge, counting the knees and the scoring for elbows, right? It's different than a punch and stuff like that, different than a sweep. So from a pure Muay Thai standpoint, people might disagree with me, but just from a casual fight fan watching, it looked like Rich took round 1 and round 2, and Paul definitely took round 3. And round 1 was debatable, right? That's just from a casual perspective. But, from a pure Muay Thai scoring perspective, maybe people would have said Paul won all 3 rounds. Anyways, let us listen to the announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. The judges have declared your winner via split decision in favor of the red corner, Richard Eberhardt.
Yeah, like we predicted, right? That 3rd round that Paul had wasn't enough. But still, very awesome main event match. They brought it, man. Both of them brought it.
Richard Eberhardt, let's have you in the middle here for a quick interview, my friend. What an amazing performance. Wow, another razor-thin split decision. It could have gone either way, but wow, you came out like an absolute handful. You used your height advantage. Were you working on that, preparing for the fight?
Yes, sir. Well, in my weight, I'm usually the taller, bigger guy, so I like to use my advantages as advantages. I don't like to just have weapons and not use them. So I'm a long fighter. I try and stay long, and then when I can find knees, elbows, the clinch like that, I'll search for them and throw them.
That was an outstanding victory. Thank you so much for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for your winner, Rich Eberhardt.
I just like to say, whenever you have a good fight, it's not just one side. It takes 2 people to dance, it takes 2 people to tango. So don't ever just give credit to the winner. You gotta give credit to both people, the teams, the time, and hard work that they stepping in this ring. So shout out to Paul Hernandez, man. Thank you for the fight.
But on that line, and on that vein, I want to bring in Paul Hernandez, because Paul, that was an amazing fight. Again, it could have gone either way. It was incredible. You found your way inside on a much taller opponent. But I saw in the first round, it looked like he hurt your knee on a takedown. I saw you looking over at your corner. Your knee okay? Did that hold you back?
Yeah, the knee's fine, but I'm not going to blame that on holding me back. I don't want to take away from his performance, Richard is a fucking animal. And anybody that says no, they don't understand this shit. It always sucks to drop a razor close decision, but that's the thing. They don't know who the fuck Paul Hernandez is. I will come back better, and thanks to this man.
The world knows who Paul Hernandez is now, and of course the world knows who Rich Eberhardt is.